Exactly. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you're right. We'll see.
Remember
We'll know momentarily.
I said, well, he was so, yeah, I played with him. Oh,
He
yeah.
was pretty on time. He was-
Yeah.
Still searching, that's all right. We're all still searching, right, Glenn? All right. We'll call the meeting to order. Board of Works, start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. That should do it. All right. So, welcome everyone. Thank you for your indulgence in the meeting switch. Had an item that we thought was going to be time sensitive and it didn't turn out to be, but here we are anyway on a Monday instead of a Friday, so thank you. Let's get started with the approval of the minutes from July 2nd. Those were presented in your packet. Any questions or concerns?
Did you say anything? I didn't see anything to correct, so I will make a motion, we approve those minutes from
All right.
July 2nd.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? All right. Lynn, no communications?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. All right, let's, with no unfinished business, let's move into new business. And we'll start with the opening of sealed quotes for two Ford hybrid vehicles. I believe we have one quote. The deadline has recently just passed, about a minute ago. All right, this sealed quote is from Curlin Ford. And the net total for two 2021 Ford Police Interceptor utility all-wheel drive vehicles is $73,453.78. And they did take a claim for the local preference, which gives them, I think it's a percent advantage over other competitors, but since they're the only one, I don't imagine that's going to make a difference. Scott, you want to take these under advisement, and then we can take a look at them at the end of the meeting, or are you?
Yeah,
with-
at the end of the meeting would be great.
Okay. All right, so we'll circle back with that. Thanks. And then we've also got 2022 fuel costs. Scott, you want to tell us just a little bit about that? I know this is a program you've done well for us in the past, and we're continuing with that. This is,
Some time ago, I forget how many years back, we decided to look at, I guess, lack of better words, playing the futures when it comes to fuel pricing. For the biggest reason being for budgetary purposes for department heads to be able to, when we create our budgets, to actually know, have an idea about how many gallons we're going to use and what that actual dollar amount is per gallon. And over the years, we've fared very well with the price at the pump versus the agreement that we've reached, typically as far as 8 months to a year in advance. But we've set it up so that all the city vehicles has their own card associated to it, and that card is entered with the employee's information, and the fuel is identified as being used for that vehicle. And it's worked out really well for accountability. But again, we think overall, budgetary purposes and the savings that we have seen over the years has been very beneficial to us.
and it obviously gives us a nice advantage when we're budgeting. So the bid for the project for 2022 is from Lassus Brothers, 78,000 gallons of 87 octane unleaded at $2.57 per gallon, 2.576 per gallon. which includes all the taxes. So, again, I would maybe have you take a look at this and make sure it meets your needs as far as what the specifications were, and then we'll consider both those at the end of the meeting. Do you guys have any questions on either of those? No. Okay. All right, let's move, item number 3. This is a approval to replace a vehicle. Chief?
Good morning. We took the Fire Territory Board on the 6th of July. We're bringing it to you today. We're looking to replace the EMS chief's vehicle, which is a 2008 Chevrolet Tahoe. It's got 204,000 miles on it. We visited with dealerships here in town, actually another Dodge dealership outside of the county, with some conversation with North Webster Fire, Winona Lake Police Department, and Syracuse. We figured out that what we were looking for, Dodge, was available through the state bid. We contacted the dealership that handles the state bid, which is John Jones Auto Group, and they have 2 different styles. They have a 2020 and a 2021 Dodge Durango that's set up for what we need. It's white in color, which is what we're looking to do. You'll notice the retail price is listed there on the letter. It's $39,360. And the quoted price on the 2020 to save some extra funds is $36,533, of which we have allocated in our 410 account up to about $45,000 to purchase a vehicle. We took this to Territory Board, and we're bringing it to you today for permission to purchase the vehicle from John Jones Auto Group.
So again, this was through the state of Indiana governmental pricing, which qualifies for the bid specification, or the bidding process for purchasing vehicles.
I did meet with Mike and ask him, I had questions as to why this, how it went about that, we didn't really get bids from in town and stuff like that. But when he explained to me about what was going on with used vehicles and certain kinds of vehicles, and it's clear that that's what is happening all over the state. And it's obvious it's a 2008 with almost 205,000 miles, so it's time to move on. And he gave me a very satisfactory answer as to why this vehicle is being purchased out of town. It sounds like it couldn't be purchased here locally, so I appreciate that.
Some comments? All right. So is there, and this was approved by the Fire Territory Board on July 6th.
Yeah.
So is that a motion to approve, George?
That is a motion to approve the replacement vehicle.
All right.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed? All right,
Thank you.
thanks. The travel requests are presented here. Jennifer was on a training session and asked me to just present these. I don't see any concerns here, but if you've got any questions, now's the time.
I move to accept all as presented.
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you. All right, item number 5, this is a contract with the VIC to do our catering for our employee picnic, which we're having, I believe, in late August, yeah.
August 25th.
All right, Whitney?
So the VIC, also 110, is going to cater our food for the picnic. Each employee will get 2 meat options along with their sides, and they were the best price out of the 5 or 6 quotes that we received. Rain date is August 24th, I believe. Yes.
All right.
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
Yeah, and the only comment I'll make is we had used the Chicago Dog House and they went out of business, so we had to go out and find a new vendor, and we're happy that we're able to present this, so. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Plan Department. This is a request to reduce a merchant permit fee. Jeremy, is anybody from Plan coming down for this?
I think typically in the past, when a merchant comes into our office and requests a reduction in that fee, it would have to come before you as the board to make that decision. We don't have the authority to. Is that individual here? today?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so they would be able to come up and basically make their argument to have that fee reduced, and then it'd be at your discretion to do so.
Okay. So I believe from the information that we've got, Justin, do you have anything to add to this merchant fee reduction?
Not really. I mean, I'm not sure what was just said, but the intention was to protect local businesses, but occasionally, if the board sees fit, we have the ability to lower or waive those fees, depending on the type of business, if it's going to compete with another business locally. So those are kind of the criteria.
So the permitting fees, essentially, we've got a city fee, a county fee, and then
An out-of-county fee.
out-of-county fee. Okay, and not an out-of-state fee, it's just everything considered out-of-county.
Correct.
Okay. So they're asking for a reduction in this $1,000. I assume that's an annual fee?
Yeah, that would be the maximum that could be charged annually. So they might not even get to that point with the fee, but yeah, that would be the maximum that they would have to pay annually if they got to that limit.
So are you saying they wouldn't purchase an annual fee? It would be like a monthly fee or a weekly fee?
Well, it depends on what the board decides to do. If they've asked for the fee to be reduced, then they may intend to be here for the duration that would make them reach that fee. So they're probably getting close to that based on what their schedule is showing.
Okay.
Do the fees expire at the end of every year?
Yeah, it would be
Okay.
the calendar year. So
Yeah.
January 1st, they would need to reapply or.
Do you know what the fee is?
Forget.
Like a one-time fee, not an annual fee, but the other option, is it by the day?
By the day and by the employee. So I think it's, I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's $5 per person per day. So per employee. I'd have to look at the fee structure again, but it's based off of employee and per day.
Okay. I mean, I think-
That was my question, is we've adjusted the fee schedule in the past, and it wasn't in on there when I looked at it. And so it would be good to see what that looks like, the in-city, county, daily.
Is there
I
a
just don't-
possibility you could get that before we deliberate on this?
Yep.
I mean, maybe run up and see what you can find, and
Yeah, we'll get that printed out.
yeah, we'll move this item down to the bottom, and then I think that's important to have that.
Right.
Sounds good?
All right, thank you. And the comparison with the local and out of county, and, you know, if you've got a template that shows all the daily and annual costs, I think that would help the board.
We'll get that submitted.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, so we'll move on to 607 East Market Street. Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. How are you today?
Good.
Good. On the 23rd of June, we received a letter from Miss Patricia K. Buskirk, where she expressed that she would like to donate 607 East Market Street. In the letter, the incorrect address was given, but we clarified this. I've included in the memo that I attached for this meeting the beacon printout of the property. After discussing it with the city engineer, it would be an ideal site to replace that pump station, which is about 200 feet to the west. Depending on where you place it on that property, it goes between 210 feet to 280 feet. As the property stands now, how water sits on it, it's not buildable.
Right.
And we pulled the past property tax levies on it, and it's about $168 a year, so I don't think that's going to break the city's budget. But it is a consideration that would need to be made. Because of its value as a future pump station, the planning department recommends that we accept the donation.
Who owns the adjacent property to the west?
I do not know that, sir, but I can find out.
Okay. Another question, if the city does take this over, who maintains it? Would it be the utility if they're considering using it for a pump station?
I believe that if it was maintained, or if it was used as a pump station, that would be the wastewater utility. But I could get clarification on that too, sir.
Okay. Do you guys have questions?
The pump station, is any of that visible? I forget how those work. Is it,
You might have like a control panel, but
it's not going to dramatically affect that lot next to the
and
resident?
we could do some decorative fencing around so blend in like that.
It's not 5 feet high coming up out of the, okay, it's not even that tall. Okay,
And,
The control panel will be lit.
okay, thank you.
and I don't know if you have the beacon printout in front of
I
you.
do.
There's a tiny square in the back of 533, the property
Which
line on
number?
Market Street, 533. It's that lot to the west that's right next to the alley. That's as much space as the current pump station takes up.
Yeah, I don't see 533, but that's fine. That's my question.
It's the third lot to the west of Park Avenue on Market,
Yeah, on the left there.
and there's a little square
Little tiny.
in the.
532, 33, okay,
Yeah,
See, there's a little square, I think, in the northwest corner of that lot,
okay,
yeah.
and that's where it is now.
Yes, sir.
okay. Thank you.
But the address of this property is 607 East Market, correct?
That is correct. I verified that with the property owner.
Justin, are you aware of who owns the property next to them? To the west?
Yeah, I mean, it's on our GIS system, but we haven't made contact with them or talked about that, acquiring the additional property to the west
I
yet
see.
or anything. But that could be potentially part of this, if we wanted to turn this into a larger project with that pump station, so.
And again, no structures on either one because of the water issues that we see, that's what I thought, okay.
Would we need both properties if we put a lift station there?
I could have a more in-depth conversation with the city engineer about that. But when we talked, I believe it was last Thursday, we would just need the one property. And then we'd have to run a new line to reconnect the main.
No, we wouldn't need both properties, and myself and James have talked about this when we were doing Market Street project a year or so back. It's not necessary for us to obtain this property, but the property is not going to be developed because of the soil and the water issues. So we had talked about a long-term storm drainage project in that area to help that whole area in utilizing those properties at such time that those property owners would be willing to donate it to the city for that purpose. We just so happened at this time to have someone that would like to donate that. I think we've had minimal conversations with the adjoining property owner, and I don't remember their name off the top of my head, but we've had conversations with that property owner as well. And at some point in time, I think that property will likely end up in our ownership just because of the stormwater issues in that area.
Comments?
I don't see any reason why we shouldn't accept it in light of what we've heard, and the recommendations from.
I guess the only thing I'm thinking is, it's available, we're being asked to take it over, and that's a good thing if that is a long-term plan for the city. To just take it and then create an opportunity, there's going to be maintenance, somebody's going to have to go down there and mow that thing. And that to me is a little bit of a, I don't want to say hesitancy. Now, if we had plans and we were getting ready to go, it would seem to be a little bit different. Would it make sense, and Jeremy, I know you've had discussions with James, would it make sense to kind of hold off maybe till the next meeting and get a little bit more information on maintenance of this and what the disposition is of the adjacent property? And, you know, is this indeed a long-term plan? I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm not trying to not do this, but to just take properties that are not buildable, and then we have to maintain them. I think we need to make sure that it is in our long-term interest, I guess.
Yeah, I think it might make sense to have James come and discuss what he kind of sees as the potential for that area, but overall, it will be something we'll have to maintain whether we do something there or not. And that's just something we'll have to, whoever maintains it, whether it's the street department, park department, or wastewater, one of them's gonna have to mow it.
Right.
Now, the parks department, they're across the street from Tripoli Field, so I don't think it would be too much to top across and mow that at the same time. So I think we have the infrastructure in place to mow and take care of it. But long-term, we have to have, you're right, wouldn't recommend taking this if we didn't feel like there was an actual purpose for it. And both James and myself, when we were discussing some of the issues, the stormwater issues we dealt with, when we were building the improvements on Market Street, it seemed like a likely candidate to do something on that property, whether it's moving the pump station there or having, an overflow area that would overflow and then release out after a rain event. Either way, it lends itself to that possibility.
Detention area would tell me you'd want both. And then use, I think good points by the mayor, but it does seem like you're gonna use it.
You would have to have both if we were doing
If it was some, if then, yeah. The donation is attractive, obviously. I can't remember, that makes it attractive too, with all that. You want to wait a month, Mayor, and have them do it?
It doesn't even necessarily have to be a month. I think it'd be good to hear,
Next
kind of
meeting.
maybe even bring the utility in and have them talk about it. And, I mean, I don't know if the
Right.
current lift station's problematic. I guess I feel just a little bit blind as to the long-term. I understand it's the ideal spot because it's not buildable, it's low, it could service as a retention area and for a lift station. So I get why it's important. But I suppose I'd just like to hear, I don't know, how do you guys feel?
I'm like, take it, but I also, great point, that the other property, I think it would be in our interest to know who owns it, what their interest may be. It could be, and then also the development, like you said, Mayor. It seems to me like they're going to use it. They need it. They want it. So that's,
Right.
I'm not as hesitant.
And our next meeting's less than 2 weeks away.
Right.
So I'll move that we table it until the next
Yeah.
meeting. And let's hear a little more explanation.
Good, thank you. There's-
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those
Thanks.
opposed? Appreciate it. I think that's a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Justin, you ready to go back to the merchant fee discussion, item 6?
Thank you, Jeff.
There actually is a correction there. Outside of the state, there is a $3,000 cap per year. So there is another tier there that you asked about, Joe, that outside the state, we do distinguish between those two, so.
So this is helpful. I know when we set these up, there was big concerns about people coming in that don't pay taxes, setting up in a parking lot, selling merchandise, furniture, I believe was the issue at the time we discussed this. And I know we had a pretty good amount of discussion on it. This particular case seems to be a little bit different. It's a gentleman and his family selling ice cream.
Is it just ice cream?
Is it the mobile truck that goes through the neighborhoods, or are you gonna park it?
Mobile truck where you can park on it, run city streets, back and forth.
No, they'll do ice cream, all prepackaged.
Yeah, it's all prepackaged ice cream. Basically running for a children's business, not an adult. I mean, adults buy it.
I may have you come up to the
Yeah, maybe come
microphone,
up.
please.
Yeah.
Thank you. And introduce yourself, and then I know we've got the letter you wrote to us and asked for that waiver, so.
Yeah.
You're Mr. Davis,
I'm
correct?
Kelly Davis, yes.
Great.
And we're running for Cold Delights. And we have ice cream trucks that run through the city streets. We're permitted through all of Kosciuszko County. We got stopped 4 years ago when we first tried to come into the city, and they said we needed a permit. I went to get the permit, and it was $1,000. I can't afford $1,000 for a permit to sell ice cream. I mean, we're not selling no extras, we're not selling water pop or none of that. It's just ice cream. I was leaving it go because I thought, well, and we can't afford it. They told me I need to come to the board. The last couple of years has been off and on. I mean, we just started in this 4 years ago. And now I've got people calling my phone. I guess they must be getting the number off the side of the truck. And they're saying, well, can you come bring us ice cream? I said, well, where are you at? So they give me their address, turns up it's in the city limits. So I've got people calling me, wanting me to come to the city limits. I'm not gonna do that without a permit. I don't go anywhere without a permit.
Right.
So it's like, we're already past halfway point through the season. And these people are calling. We'd like to do something in the city. We spend a lot of money in this city. My wife runs all the county out here. Every time we turn around, she's buying food in the city. She buys gas in the city. We bank with your banks in this city. So I thought, being we're doing probably 70% of our business for our family life in this city, we should try to see if we can get a redemption on it. Get it cut down and try to get the permit. We usually buy yearly permits. We usually buy them by the 15th of March.
Right.
We start running before the end of March, and we shut down, well, at the 1st of October, we start selling off what's left. It could sell off in a week. It could sell off in 2 weeks, but by October 31st, we're done.
Right. Justin, I have a question. Thank you. Is there anything else you wanted to say? We may have some questions for you, but I wanted to ask Justin. Thank you for approaching, and we'll certainly talk about it. May have you back up.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you. So Justin, I noticed from his card that he does private events, weddings, birthdays, graduations. He's not required to have a permit for that, is he?
Yeah, they would need an itinerant merchant permit if they were in the city to set up on private property as well. So for things like taco trucks and different things, that's kind of how the system's worked for them, so.
But if he was doing a private event like a wedding, would he need a, I mean, I understand if he's setting up on private property to sell to the public, but if he's contracted with someone for a wedding, birthday party, graduation party, family reunion, employee appreciation, just like we just did, we've got a contract with a vendor to provide food, he wouldn't need the permit for those
Not
privately contracted events.
Yeah, not typically, no.
Right, so this would just be if he set up on public or private property to sell to the public.
Correct.
And I assume the ice cream truck's just going around?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I just need that clarification.
So the difference too is this truck, you don't set up shop, it's mobile. My kids see you along Clark Street, they're,
The only time we stop is if somebody comes up
To get-
to buy ice cream, and then we move on.
right, okay.
We don't feel we can make enough money if we just set it in a parking lot somewhere.
Right.
Sure. I think we had a discussion, it was last year, about down at Winona and Buffalo, someone wanted to put a ice cream truck in there from out of state. We had that discussion. Need to go back and look at I don't think we allowed it. This is different, it's not out of state. So what, at issue here is the fee of $1,000 for a out-of-county but in-state permit, and that would be a full-year fee. I know that these are pretty, they're in the ordinance, and that they are what they say they are, and we could consider this case and provide, at least for this year, provide an exception and a reduction if you so see fit. I think what we have been concerned with is protecting our merchants that live in the city and pay taxes. They do business as well, but they also pay taxes, property taxes, employment taxes that come into the.
You'd be a resident of this county that may want to sell ice cream also, you're right.
Right.
And that's, that was the.
And I think that was the decision in stepping that up. Thoughts?
Well, the discount could be based on the fact that we're in July now, if we wanted to make some exception. And I am a little sympathetic because they live so close to our county.
Good point.
And they wouldn't be paying taxes to drive around. In other words, they're not stopping on the lot and selling something, so but the problem we have is, like you say, setting precedents, but I would be a little sympathetic based on some of that. There is no mechanism to get a discount, except, if they come in the middle of the year, the middle of an ice cream season, let's say.
And this board has prorated the fees before, so say you guys considered considered them being in the city limits, even they're close, so if that fee was $100, and then they only have, let's say, 2 or 3 months left in the season, you could do a prorated fee of like $25 or something, if the board wanted to go that direction, or you could waive the fee entirely. So you have those two options.
The out-of-state fee, if you go by month, it's $83 a month. July, August, September. 3 months would be $249. If they go 4 months, they're just over $300, which would put them in the county. I'm just hesitant to do this kind of thing because of the work that's, I know we've made adjustments, but I'm hesitating. But it could be, as they tell us, it's only ice cream. They're not setting up shop. They're mobile. It'll probably be for 3 months. It could be the $83 for 3 or 4 months. And then we evaluate, no promises. How did they do in the community? That kind of thing. And then we revisit this on January 1st, if you're even wanting, like George said, to be, friendly here. That'd give them, they'd have to pay they'd be committed. $249 is what I have, and then another $83. It'd be like $330. They're getting to the county.
Right.
I'm uncomfortable with the city. They don't live in the city. But the county, if we stay with the state fee, it may match. It might be something that they would find attractive, maybe, because we're sort of looking at the county, even though it's only for 3 or 4 months. They can see if they get traction, do they like it here, and they can reevaluate what do we do for next year. Do we even want to come back, that kind of thing.
So your proposal, just so I understand it, is to basically take that $1,000 divided by 12, which is $83.33, and then times 4 months would be $333.
Right.
If it were 3 months, it would be just $83.33, less than that. So you would be prorating based on the time, but still considering it an out-of-county rate.
Yes.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
I would, because we're shortening the months. We're not saying you got to pay the whole year. It's just for this time, and I think a big commitment by them, but we're being friendly to our residents and city, and then they could see, did we do well enough? Do we want to come back next year? And we could also, again, we've looked at this before, we might want to, if it's a specific product, mobile truck, it's a little different to this. Do we add, I know it's dangerous, another column where it's a summer type? They're not selling ice cream in December. They're not selling.
It's a seasonal business.
It really is big
Yeah.
time. And we do see others that are not, they're open almost year round. Some of the trucks I see, I don't know, I'm just throwing, I'm, spitballing here, throwing some ideas out.
Well, I think the high rates for out of states and even some of those out of county is to dissuade folks from coming in and trading in our community without committing to our community in a form of property taxes and payroll taxes. In a case like this, it might be, again, because it's seasonal, it's a business that's somewhat itinerant, it's moving around, it's not in a particular location. I mean, I feel it's okay to consider, but I would maintain the resident of the state of Indiana rate of $1,000, and then if you feel compelled to prorate it on the months that remain, I'm hesitant, but I think I could do that.
George, what's your reaction? What do you
Well,
think?
I would agree with Joe. I was sympathetic to it just because it's a little different, being mobile and the fact that they live, they're not from Clearwater, Florida. They're local. They do some business here, and like they said, they like Warsaw, and it's seasonal, and so we could have a prorated. But I think we just do it for this year and then evaluate it.
I do too.
So I'd be sympathetic with it.
So we're looking at mid-July to mid-October, which is 3 months. And Jeff, based on what you had done,
249,
times 3, well,
830, 8330.
249.99.
And that's under the county for the year.
Just
This
make
is
it,
the first request for a mobile ice cream truck I can remember.
yeah.
Oh, man, in a long time. Maybe, Justin, you'd want to reevaluate, what if it is mobile, not just, it's a little different here. And they're
Yeah.
saying only ice cream in the truck. Okay.
And, I would ask you, if we do this, to go back and look at this and that previous request that we had acted on. And I want to maintain some consistency here. That's the big issue. And if there needs to be maybe a separate category for seasonal, itinerant, and maybe not, maybe that's opening a can of worms, but at least I'd ask you to look at that and see if there's maybe a means to,
And some of that is addressed by having the daily fee. So we're looking
Right.
at just the caps. So if somebody's just coming in for a couple weeks, then they could pay the fee if they thought that was less than the cap, if they weren't going to hit the cap. So, but yeah, we can definitely take a look at that and make sure that's
okay.
working for everybody.
We want to be really friendly. I mean, we appreciate the petitioners, they want to come in, but it's bigger than that. There's others too, and I think they understand that. But I would appreciate, like the mayor said, efforts in that direction to help us in the future.
So I would like the motion to read that we would maintain the fee, the $1,000 fee for a resident of the state of Indiana, and then have it prorated for the 3 months remaining. And that's how it would be. Are you guys good with that?
I would be good for that one time.
One
We
time.
would not entertain this again until next year, and then that would give us an idea of their experience, and then if more come.
Yeah, and if there's a chance to make a switch for next year, then that gives us time to look at that.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good.
So
All
it'd
right.
be the 249 would be the fee.
I move that it would be 83.33.
And a
month.
third.
Yeah, and
So it's going to be $250.
yeah, it would
It's
be
$250.
$250 for 3 months only. This would help us too, right, Mayor? Based on their experience and how it works, it'll help us reevaluate if we want to go that direction for next year. So I would move that it would be $250 for 3 months.
And I'll second that.
All right. Any further discussion or questions?
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, sir.
It's kind of too late to get started with this other deal that I can tell you about. But I was down in Kentucky for a year and a half, 2 years. And down there, we started in the beginning of the year, in March. Down there, they run till November. And down there, we paid sales tax for the city we was in. We went to Lexington, got permitted. We paid sales tax for the city of Lexington, 7% of what was sold. So, I mean, if it would help, I understand what you guys are saying, that you gotta protect your people in the city. So if it would help, I wouldn't have a problem paying sales tax to have a permit in this city. That way I'm paying just like all the rest of your people in the city are paying.
Well, I can't address that, but I know the sales tax doesn't come back directly to the city.
Well,
The
this,
way it may in Kentucky. I don't know that.
yeah, this is where it was set up in Kentucky. It went
Right.
back to whatever city it was in.
Right. The tax structure is the revenue and allocation of that is, I think, different here. So I don't, and I appreciate the consideration, but I don't know that that really would impact the city in Indiana. But thank you.
Well, I'm just throwing that out there.
All right.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
I know that, thank you.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Thank you.
Now I'm hungry for ice cream.
That's right.
Okay. Item number 8, building and plan. This is a proposal from city engineer for improvements, drain improvements on the roof. The cost of $49,113. We had some freezing last year that caused some backup into our system and came down into the building, and that's something we need to get done. I don't know, this is a need. It's not a desire, this is a need.
And we do a lot of business with Core Mechanical, right?
Yes.
Any comments? I know James isn't here, but I know he walked me through it, and this has to be done. So,
Yeah, the pictures, I see that. Yeah.
Core maintains our HVAC system in City Hall, and they've been doing more business with
That's what I
other
thought, yeah.
yeah.
departments too.
I move to approve.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you. Item 9, Community and Economic Development, so Buffalo Plaza project change order number 6.
Yeah, so you have before you change order number 6. This is the last change order, and I believe the bulk of the project is complete. There may be a few outstanding items that need to be checked off and some payments that need to be made. But there were a few increases to the project. There was $3,600 for some additional concrete work for the pavilion. But overall, the deduction is based on a itemization of all the quantities on the product lines throughout the project, which results in a little over $95,000 reduction in the total contract price. So the final contract price was $2,114,533.19. This went before the redevelopment commission, and they approved the request for the change order as well.
Well, anybody can take a $2.5 million project down to 2.1 and ask for our approval.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. All right. Stormwater has a change order for the Pike Lake Shoreline Stabilization Project.
Yes, James is attached change order number 2 for reference for the project, change order adjustments for the contract for the final quantities. Original contract price was $157,998. The change order for the quantities was $146,629. And James has reviewed these quantities with G&G Hauling, and that's what they come in at.
So again, we're saving some money.
Save some money on the project, yes.
I'd say the same thing. If anybody's got a problem with this,
Government reduction of cost. I don't say that much in my classroom. I move to accept.
I'll second that.
all right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, Larry, thank you. I guess then there's a item number 11, which is just a recommendation for payment.
Just a continuation of the same project. It says James reviewed the payment application number 3 for the contractor in reference G&G Hauling and has satisfactorily completed the work of $32,546 for which payment is requested.
All right,
I'll move to approve.
Second.
further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? And then item 12 would be same project, payment number 4.
Yes, just reference of the project. This project is to release detainage. Recommendation of the contractor of $14,662.92, which completes payment for the project.
Move to approve.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Larry, I think you got one more.
I have one more. I have a
Thank you, sir.
Okay, this is going to be a change order that we have. The first item on it is actually to do the, at the plant, we had a WAS wet well, which is a waste activated sludge wet well that we don't use anymore. So we abandoned that. We wanted to make sure we drained that properly so we could do maintenance, just ground restoration, so we could easily just maintain the area. The tank was no longer being used, so we wanted to have it demoed so it wouldn't be a mosquito habitat area. So we had them core drill the bottom of it and cut the concrete, so on and so forth. That
right.
change order for that was $20,913 for this change order 8 for the plant expansion. And then the second item on this change order is for the telemetry for the lift stations throughout the city. In this handout, you will see that there is some little green dots on there. We currently have a couple of those little areas which are pin marked throughout the city. That is like the airport expansion project. We already have a demo going on out there of this system. And then Danik Lift Station, which is on the other side of US 30 out by the plant. The second portion of that handout, you can see some of the information that this telemetry will do for the city. You can see wind speeds, precipitation, temperatures throughout the city. You can see what all is going on with the pump stations. It trends all those different items that are on there. It'll tell you any kind of alarms you have. We're actually going to be reactive instead of, behind the 8 ball. We want to be proactive instead of reactive behind it. This will help us. Over the years, we've always chased after, depending on like the police department to call in, general public to call in. This, we will be actually to be notified by text, email, or a phone call that we can actually get these repairs made ahead of the game, so we don't have to get up in the middle of the night and pump 5 loads with the vac trucks or bring in the semi-tankers to do that. So this will really help us get this together with the plant. For 18 years that I've been here, I've always wanted to do this project. This is a big one. I know it comes with an expense, but it has it really does a lot of work for the city that we really don't even realize it's going on because we can be so proactive in preventing any backups or overflows with lift stations.
So I talked to Brian at length about this, and first thing to understand is just basically what this does. And instead of, as Larry mentioned, waiting for a resident to call in and say that the pump station is flashing a light or the alarm's going off, or our police noticing that, not knowing how long it's been, this basically puts that telemetry in the hands of the employees at the utility, and they are notified the moment that system shuts down. And as Larry suggested, they may even be able to predict and get this taken care of before it gets to that point. $733.636. This makes this is a huge project. It's a huge step forward in improving efficiency and cutting costs, and like Larry said, being reactive. The second, the good part about this is the SRF loan that we got for plant expansion will be able to absorb this cost. So obviously, we'll still be paying this over a 20-year period, but those funds are available, and this type of project is right in line with the expansion, and it just improves efficiency. So not only does this, again, 18 years, Larry's been wanting to do this. It's a huge, huge improvement. Now there's funds available with the remaining, the money that we didn't use for the plant expansion. I would certainly consider this an improvement for the plant, and I think it's a great idea and a good timing, and I'm certainly supportive of it.
I think we forget to, did I read it correctly? 42 lift stations? 42?
42 is what we're working on at this time. We actually have like 47 lift stations.
40,
So-
okay.
So we have 2 of them that already have the equipment on them, or the demo. We have some that's on our SCADA system that we currently have, which that's Center Street that we're monitoring. And there was a couple of them that wasn't applicable. I have Lucas Gibson, the salesperson here, and he can explain a couple of them, what the reasonings were, why we didn't add the other ones on. There were minor reasons. I think that it was just because they, do you remember what one of the,
There were a couple of stations that had such basic, like almost residential style pumping equipment that you really can't monitor them. And the expense to monitor those would not be beneficial. So it's kind of let's just take those off the list.
so there was a couple that we just didn't add to it. It really, we believe that we could still have somebody call in, or it'll be the red light flashing, somebody, we will be notified, which is generally the Simplex, which is a single pump, and we can catch those up relatively quickly. We didn't feel as though that with the cost occurred, that at this time it would be necessary to do it, and there's only a couple.
Only a few.
George, any thoughts?
Sounds like necessary and more efficient and everything else, all the words. Like you say, 18 years he's wanted this.
18 years is what I've been after,
Yeah.
chasing them, yeah. So we always drove around in a pickup truck, and every morning, somebody would come in at 5:30 in the morning and run lift stations. That's how we actually were notified. Every day, Monday through Friday, we would do this. So we would wear out pickup trucks or cars, vehicles, just actually chasing lift stations. Somebody'd have to get up extra early in the morning to come in and do this. So it's, yeah, for 18 years that I've been here in the wastewater department, that's what we've been doing.
I think the other thing to consider here is that this is benefiting, obviously, those users, those utility users, that if that lift station's not identified as not working, things aren't getting taken away from the homes and businesses, and certainly backups are not something we want anybody to experience.
And I've been there, where nobody knew about the light and until they go down into their basement. And so that kind of thing, Joe, you're exactly right.
It's a huge benefit to our citizens, our utility users.
$18,000 per pump. What's the annual, like, fee for, is there gonna be like every year you're gonna, once you get this going, or once it's in, or are you gonna come back and say, we need $200,000 to?
There is an annual fee on it. Lucas, maybe that's something that you may be able to present the dollar value on that, because I don't have that broke out on my application. Do you have that?
I do.
Can you step up here and just,
So there is an annual fee for all of the lift stations that we have quoted on this one. It is $24,092. And then there are 3 additional lift stations that utilize the same service at a different lower rate. And that rate is $1,149 for a total of $25,241 annually for all of the stations.
Okay.
And that is not an automatic renewal. At the end of each year, there will be an invoice presented to renew. There's no contract.
Okay.
$600 a station, you know, like the how they, okay.
Thank you. I mean, I'm certainly supportive of this. I think this
Okay.
just is,
I'm okay.
we'd be foolish. Having the opportunity now with the funds available, being able to amortize it over 20 years, being able to upgrade, protecting the citizens, reducing the workload on our
Right.
employees when, it's something as simple as just communication from the lift station to a phone saying, hey, I've stopped, please come fix me. Makes perfect sense.
Vehicles and people cost money.
Yep.
So I'll move to approve the change order for the project.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
thank you, guys.
All right. Excuse me. All right, no special claims, Lynn? Oh, wait, excuse me, we're going back to sealed quotes. Chief, items 1 and 2.
Yes, sir. Was the fuel bid was the first?
No,
Oh, the vehicles are first.
vehicles.
All right, thank you.
Item 1.
I had a 50-50 chance, and I closed up my book. All right, so I guess the recommendation would be that the board accept Curlin Motors' bid for the purchase of 2 Ford utilities, 2021 Ford utilities. The individual vehicle amount is $36,726.89. The net total for the 2 be $73,453.78.
All right, are there questions?
So moved.
I'll second that.
All right, further discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, and then the fuel
Yeah,
quote?
the bid for the 87 octane for the city of Warsaw at 78,000 gallons with Lassus Brothers Oil Company or Incorporated. The only bid provided an amount of $2.57, or sorry, 2.576 per gallon for 2022. So that'd be my recommendation that the board accept this award, or award this bid.
Chief, I know I ask this question every year. We're bound to buy 78,000 gallons of fuel.
Correct.
And then when we exceed that, are we extended that same price, or does it just go back to the market price?
Goes back to the pump price, and when Deema's here,
Yes,
pump
it
price.
does. It goes back to the pump price when they exceed that. Typically, it exceeds at around November. We usually have about a month
Right,
before they go on with that.
right.
Okay.
So that was kind of my question. We've got some history here. And obviously, there's a lot of factors. Did you set the maximum or the minimum amount we have to purchase any different than you have in the past?
No, I think it was 2 years ago, maybe last year, but we increased it from 75,000 to 78,000.
Okay.
We did consider increasing it as well, but yeah, just with COVID, we weren't really sure if we actually were putting in the miles and looking at it this year. I think it'll probably be, odds are we'll probably get more into December this year. But we feel pretty good at the 78,000. We'll definitely keep watching it.
Okay. Questions?
No, I'll move we accept the quote for fuel for 2022.
Second?
All right, further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate your work on that.
Yeah.
All right, now, Lynn, no special claims,
Still, no special claims.
and I will then ask you all to consider the claims docket.
I didn't see anything. I mean, I got a couple questions answered for the meeting, so if you don't see
No.
anything, I'll move, we approve the claims docket as presented.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Any other items come before the board? All right, again, we'll be back on our regular schedule, August, when would that be? Make sure.
August 6th?
Yes, ma'am. August 6th will be the next meeting.
10:30.
Regular, 10:30.
10:30 Friday.
10:30.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, wait a minute, I got one more thing. I'm sorry. This will just take a second. I just received communication from NDOT. We had a meeting with NDOT Friday regarding the crossing project down Hickory Street. And we met with them, I believe, last Wednesday. And had a pretty difficult meeting with them, and basically we told them they had to make some changes, which they acknowledged some concerns. So I've got 3 changes that they made Friday that I want to pass along, and you might have noticed already, but they have eliminated the delay between the 2 sets of signals between Detroit and Hickory for westbound Market Center in Maine. So that 10-second difference from the first light to the second light has been eliminated, so there'll be essentially free flow through there. They also will provide more priority to 15 and Detroit Street while a train is present, so they'll lengthen the signal to try and move traffic through when there's a train on the tracks, so that north-south 15 has a little bit extra time. And then they'll also do the same thing to Market Center in Maine after a train passes. They'll improve the cycle times to try and clear the east-west traffic that had been stopped for the train. So I think we made some pretty good progress. I noticed it this morning right away, and we'll talk a little bit more about it tonight at the council meeting because I know it came up, but I think that's important to get that out. So we're adjourned, but I just wanted to make sure everybody heard that. Thank you.
Thank you, Vern.
Thanks, Vern.
We were easy on you.
This evening.
All righty.
You can pass that to Jeffrey when you get that signed.
I will do that.